Recovery efforts continuing as workers search to the frigid Potomac River following the deadliest commercial air disaster in the U.S. since 2001. It's renewing a lot of longtime concerns over congested U.S. airspace. Joining us right now is Oscar Munoz. He's the former United Airlines chairman and CEO. He's now a CNBC contributor. I want to thank you for coming in this morning to help us understand what is going on. We have heard about near misses and all sorts of congestion. There's obviously huge commercial demand for more flights, especially in places like Reagan National, LaGuardia, and others. How much of a concern should that be?
It's been a continued concern with regards to airspace and congested airspace. We've spoken on the set about modernizing air traffic control systems in this country. So that's clearly a need. But at this point in time, this investigation from the NTSB is going to be really crucial to determine exactly what the cause was. Right. I think one of the things that we always face when we have these issues is that everyone begins to presume or assume or make sort of remarks about these things. And until we know, we don't know. So clearly, it is one of the safest modes of transportation, as we all know. And air traffic control systems is probably one, infrastructure, and as well as the continued education and pipeline.
But do you think technology unto itself can solve this? And the reason I ask is, you know, there's physics involved in this, and you know, if you have planes that are landing, you know, physically every 2 minutes, with very little space between them, by default, that leaves less and less room for error. Even if you have great technology that's supposed to tell you that, you know, radar, you can see this.
Do we have great technology? I feel like we've been talking for 15 years.
We do not have great technology. We are probably a laggard in the worldwide planet of air traffic control systems, and we've had that discussion plenty of times.
Yeah, I want to say literally 15 years at least. I can remember having these conversations.
It's been that process, and we've begun several initiatives to try build out a system, but it's going to take multiple years, multiple administrations, so the budgeting process in Congress affects it. So there's lots of issues as to why I want to work. But to your question of can technology fix anything? No, but it can certainly make it a lot better, right? On the human aspect that's required.
Help us. I mean, I know we're going to speculate here, but I think a lot of people, I don't know if you listened to some of the recordings and other things that people are trying to piece together. I did yesterday. I've talked to a whole number of pilots who, by the way, often talk about Reagan being actually a difficult airport to land at, meaning it's not easy. There is a sense that this helicopter is here. There are these two planes, one that's landing, one here. There's a sense that potentially when the FAA folks told the helicopter, do you see the plane, that they were looking at the plane that was actually landing, not the plane that was coming the other direction. What do you think really happened here? Do you have any sense?
I think in out of respect to the people affected, the families that are grieving right now, speculation just creates this alarming nature. We do not know. Your points are incredibly well taken. It's going to be a lot of folks with that opinion.
Let me ask you a different question. Do you think that helicopters, military helicopters, should be allowed to train near that airport at nighttime?
Airspace is congested already. Any reduction on that would be helpful. Whether military should train or not at night in that kind of congested airspace is somebody else's opinion.
No, but what's your opinion? You know this business.
I fly airplanes and airlines with humans. I would rather have a clean path to a runway.
So you think that's a bad idea? The military should not be doing that?
It doesn't appear to be a good idea, certainly in this instinct. But again, the investigation will determine what the cause is, and then we'll have a very different dialogue at the time.
Do you think that this is going to change fundamentally how we look at some of these issues? Do you think it will spur changes to the overall system?
I pray to God that we have prudent and informed dialogue after the investigation and the right and proper investment gets made in the right areas.
What is your reaction to President Trump's declaration that this accident was a function of an aggressive DEI policy, either within the FAA or within the military?
Yeah. Again, out of respect for the families involved, conversations like that, just, you know, you have to know that this is the safest mode of transportation, as we know. Millions of people work in this. There is not a single air traffic controller, pilot, flight attendant, anybody in this chain of command within airline that isn't trained in safety. Trained, tested, and you have to prove yourself to be. You just don't walk into the set and start a conversation. It's important for the flying public to understand that there are not unqualified people managing the safety of our airspace.
Well, that's a
period.
But let me ask you about that, because that's the fundamental issue, and this is the disconnect, which is the president is standing at the presidential podium telling the American public that DEI efforts have undermined the safety and the kind of people, the talent in these jobs, And yet, at the same time, he's telling the American public that flights are very safe and you should jump on the airplanes. And so it's very hard. I mean, I'm trying to be polite about it. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. I say prudent and informed dialogue is going to serve the nation in a much better place and lead to, after the investigation, the right decisions for the right investment to continue to make this as safe as possible. And again, I hope that we get to that point.
How much investment's needed inside the FAA in terms of, and one of the things we did hear clearly was there are not enough personnel in these towers?
No, it's certainly there's money, but there's a process and a procedure, just like the aviation industry has done with pilots. Remember, we had a shortage of pilots just a few years ago. All of a sudden, that's changed to some degree, at least for the big ones. You create a pipeline. You go deeper into universities, and I think the government has begun to do that. So there is investment of money, but there's more important investment of time, procedure, process, and understanding that need for us is going to continue for a long period of time, the need for air traffic controllers. So it is both money and philosophical and financial.